They go along the silent, empty streets, from which the moonlight is slowly withdrawing, while it still shines on the tops of the tall houses on the hill of Zion. It is brighter in the suburb of Ophel, where the modest houses are lower. Here is Analia's house, closed, dark, silent. Some withered flowers are still lying on the 2 steps of the house. Perhaps they were thrown by the Virgin before she died, or they fell off her coffin. Jesus knocks at the door. He knocks again. The noise of a window opened on the upper part of the building. A dejected voice asks, "Who is knocking?" "Mary and Jesus of Nazareth," replies Mary. "Oh, I'm coming." A short wait, then the noise of the sliding bars. The door is opened, showing the worn-out face of Eliza, who is holding on with difficulty to the doorpost. And when Mary, going in, stretches her arms towards her, she collapses on her breast, sobbing faintly like one who has wept so much as to have no tears or voice left. Jesus closes the door patiently, waiting for his mother to soothe so much grief. There is a room close to the door. They go into it, and Jesus takes the lamp that Eliza had laid on the floor of the entrance before opening the door. The tears of the mother seem to be endless. She speaks to Mary, sobbing hoarsely. A mother is speaking to the mother. Jesus, standing against a wall, is silent. I should just pause briefly there. Here's a practical example of why a focus on the Blessed Virgin Mary is entirely proper. When the Protestants focus entirely on Jesus, it is not improper to focus hugely on Jesus, but he wants us to focus on his mother as well, is what he wants. He wants us to focus on the saints as well. And so what we should be doing is obeying him and noting in this passage that Jesus waits for Mary to soothe bereaved Eliza. She can do what a woman can do and what he, as an incarnate man, cannot do. And there's no point in saying Jesus can do everything. As an incarnate entity, incarnate in our human flesh, there are limitations. And there are certain areas that Mary can reach that he cannot. And it's not, of course, to say that he could not have incarnated himself in some other way than he did. But once he's done that, he's functioning through certain limitations. And he wants us to know him as the man God. And so as we worship him and know him as the man God, we are to see in that context that Mary, of necessity, has a special role as the woman who is not a goddess, of course, not as some wacky wing-up Protestants would say. Most of them don't say that, but you know, it's pretty much, there's a good number of them who start saying that we believe she's a goddess. But he wants us to approach her to provide that feminine aspect that he simply can't. And by not focusing on Mary at all, the Protestants and their religion are very, very diminished. Eliza cannot resign herself to that death that happened so, and in her grief, she blames Samuel, the perjurious fiancé, for it. That cursed man broke her heart. She never said anything, but I wonder for how long she'd been suffering. And in her joy, in shouting, her heart broke. May he be cursed forever. Just to note, I think you'll remember if you've listened to the video, watched the video which I did on Palm Sunday, Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem and his progress through the town. We see this young girl, Analia, who dies after Jesus passes her as he's on the donkey, proceeding through the street. But the mother is blaming this chap who broke off their relationship some time ago. Mary replies, "No, my dear, no. Do not curse. It is not so. God loved her so much that he wanted her in his peace. But even if she had died because of Samuel, it is not so, but let us suppose so for a moment. Consider what a joyful death she had, and say that the wicked deed brought about a happy death for her. I no longer have her. She is dead. She is dead. You do not know what it is to lose a daughter. Twice I've tasted that sorrow, because I was already weeping over her, as she was as good as dead when your son cured her. But now, he did not come back. He did not have mercy. I've lost her. Lost. My child is already in her grave. Do you know what it means to see a son in the throes of death? To know that he must die? To see him dead when one thought he had recovered and was strong? You do not know. You cannot say anything. She was as beautiful as a rose that had just opened in the early sunshine when she was adorning herself this morning. She'd wanted to adorn herself with the dress I'd made for her wedding. She was also intending to crown herself as a bride. Then she preferred to undo the garland that was ready and pluck the flowers to throw them to your son. And she sang. She sang. Her voice filled the house. She was as graceful as springtime. Joy made her eyes shine like stars, and her parted lips, showing her white teeth, were a delicate pomegranate red, and her cheeks were as rosy and fresh as spring roses adorned with dew. And she became as white as a lily that had just opened, and she bent on my breast like a broken stem. Not another word, not a sigh, no longer colourful, not a glance, as placid and beautiful as an angel of God, but lifeless. As you are rejoicing in the triumph of your son, and he is healthy and strong, you do not know what my grief is like. Why did he not come back? In what had she displeased him, and I with her, that he did not hear my prayer?